Hey everybody, I'm Zach New. I'm a partner here at Joseph & Hall. We're coming up to the end of this year's H-1B filing season, so if you were lucky enough to get selected in the H-1B lottery this year, make sure you get those petitions in the next couple of days. Now this year has been a pretty weird H-1B filing season. We had a pretty dramatic jump in the number of registrations that we saw. Last year there was about 480,000 registrations, and this year we have 780,000 registrations. This is due almost exclusively to folks who have multiple registrations from multiple companies, essentially throwing their name in the hat several times. USCIS seems to have keyed in on this practice a little bit, and they've announced some major investigations into folks and companies that have done this kind of multiple registration practice. What I'm actually seeing happen on the ground is that folks who have had their petitions filed last year, who had multiple registrations on their behalf, may be hit with these notices of intent to revoke their H-1B status. This can be pretty impactful on a person's immigration. I mean, one, they could be here stuck without status. Second, they have to go through the lottery all over again. And third, just by the manner of these being revoked, there's some pretty major obstacles that are put up in people's paths for future immigration applications. And for the companies themselves, USCIS has announced that they're going to potentially be referring folks to criminal proceedings, but this seems to be pretty limited right now. I'm only really seeing this in the case of companies that were created exclusively for the purpose of registering folks into the lottery multiple times. Now, what this push is going to look like for the current H-1B filing season remains to be seen. We could see fewer folks actually filing petitions by June 30th, which would mean that in July or August, we could see a second or a third selection. But I think the bigger impact is on folks from last year. Like I said, we're seeing these notices of intent to revoke, and these are based on a finding of fraud. A finding of fraud has a pretty major impact on any future application that you're going to have to overcome. But what I'm seeing is these notices have some pretty major flaws in them. I mean, just as a baseline, it is not illegal to have multiple companies register you in the lottery multiple times if you have legitimate job offers. So in the end, if you committed fraud, probably the best thing you can do is have a lawyer help you try to mitigate the harms to you as much as possible. But if you didn't, I don't think a response to one of these notices of intent to revoke is going to really dissuade the agency from making any action one way or the other. But if you do get one of these, give me a call. I think there's a lot of ways to push back on these kind of arbitrary notices that we're seeing. Thanks.